Recording in progress. Okay, let's see. It's right on the hour. So it's 11 a.m. here in Sydney on the 9th of April 2025. So those of you who are here live, welcome. And those of you who are watching the recording at some point in the future, thanks for coming along and listening. All right, so I am screen sharing. I'll just check that that's coming up, and it looks like it's coming up successfully. This session is advanced video in Runthru Instruction. And as you see here, I've got a file pre-prepared, so I'm not going to build anything from scratch today because I figure that you guys already know how to use the application, and this is just about the video. And I've got quite a few things to go through, some of which I know many of you will already know, but I'm quite sure there's something that you'll pick up in today's session as we venture off into different parts of the video creation process and some of the I guess tips and tricks as well. Now, you know what I look like, so I might actually turn the video off. So I'm not. That is my camera. I might turn my camera off because you know what I look like, and we'll concentrate on the screen. Now, this particular file has in it 9 frames. And you can see those down the left-hand side of the screen here. You can see the 9 frames on the left-hand side of the screen. And there are a combination of text frames. This is obviously a text frame, and this one here is an image frame. It's the same application that if you've watched my recordings before, you'll have seen me use this dummy application. It's just a placeholder for any piece of software that you use inside of your organization. We just think of it as as a proxy for anything else that you've got, be that SAP or PeopleSoft or terminal emulation, or it doesn't really matter. It's a picture with these call out boxes on it. And so we're only going to use these 2 types of frames today because they're the ones that work in the video. There are other sorts of frames, you know, table of contents and some advanced type of frames. But the only ones that work in video are these text frames here and these guys here, which are the image frames. Yep. Now, let's go into publish and we'll click on the video pop-up box. And I guess if you're at this webinar, you've seen this before as well. There are 9 scenes. So what's a scene? A scene is either a text frame, so text frame is 1, or it's 1 step, or it's a grouping of steps technically, but it's one thing on a picture. So even though there's 9 different frames here, we have 18 different scenes. So that's not 2 for 1. It's not like that. This is number 1. This is a 1. This first one on the left-hand side here, that's 1. And this might have 6 on it. And this might have 2 on it. And this would be another 1. So that's how the numbers add up. So let's click on next and have a look at what that means. So here we've got the second scene. First scene is a text frame, and it is a title at the top on a purple background with text at the bottom. So that's 1 scene. Next one here, this next one here is this single step up the top, and it is please navigate to the catalog tab in the Any application. And the next one is in the status section, select previous overload and loss, deselect the other options. That's this one here. Okay, so let's just pop back here for a second and have a look at those. This one is 1 scene, and it will always be 1 scene. This one is 6 scenes. So what's a scene? A scene is an individual given step. There are 6 of those, or it's a grouping of steps. See at the bottom here, this is reordering and grouping. This means that number 5 and a rectangle form their own group. So what does that look like? If we go back to video, which we'll do now, we'll go and look at the 5th one here, which has got an orange rectangle and it's got this call out box pointing at it. Let's have a look. It is the grouping of those 2 things. So it's an orange rectangle with the arrow pointing at it. That grouping forms a step. And that also means you can do things like 2 and 3 and join them together. So if 2 and 3 are sitting together in the one grouping, that will be an individual step. So this is a way that you could combine these 2 things together in the output. So this grouping at the bottom of the screen here in the normal editing world called reorder and group, this is about building these things up so that they can hang out together. So this could be a single step and described in the text as, in the status section, do this, and then choose your system from the list. You don't have to do that. All I'm saying is this is the way it thinks. It groups these guys together in the video if you group them together at the bottom of the screen. So dragging and dropping this little guy here into there forms the group, and putting it here undoes that group. Yeah. So that's grouping, and it has a significant effect on video. All right. I'm going to pop up that box again in a second, but I want to show you one slightly different thing. So if you watched any training event I've done before, you'll know that we really encourage you to put anything related to a screenshot on the one picture, on the one frame. This is different in this particular case because I want to show you a feature in the video. Here we've got 9, 10, and 11 on these different pictures here, just to show you a transition, to show you this sort of button lighting up and the I accept button lighting up on the screen. So that I've separated the two with two screenshots and separated the markup so that I can show you a transitional effect in the video. So I'm not even encouraging you to do this. I just want to show you what it's capable of doing. So we'll get to step 9, 10, and 11 soon. Now, let's have a look in here. Now, in this dialog box, the video one that you'll see momentarily, right, this is where you do your video work. And there's a number of things going on here that I'm going to talk through. And then we're going to have a look at settings. We're going to have a look at the working folder. We'll publish this output, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about language, and we'll also talk about how to handle templates. So we'll start off just looking quickly around this user interface. Previous and next, you've seen at the bottom of the window here, this is for navigating through the 18 different scenes. This is where you can type in the number of a scene, which will take you directly to that. So if I was to type in 18 in here, it would take you to the end, and 1 would take you back to the beginning. Little shortcut there. Up the top left-hand corner is your zooming. Now, zooming doesn't make a great deal of sense on this title screen here, but it might make a good amount of sense on this screen and the subsequent screens. So zooming is zooming in on the picture. These left and rights are for moving this red box around. So if you wanted to nudge it up and down, that's what these are for. Obviously, the alternative is just like other good bits of software, is you can grab the rectangle and move it. Selection color is only to change the color of the rectangle that floats around in this image, and it's just for the purposes of editing. You never see that red rectangle in the output. It's only changeable of color just in case maybe you had a red piece of software. You work in an organization where everything's red, then you might change it to blue. That's the whole purpose of it, is just to allow you to edit, just to allow you to see easily on the screen that you're looking at where that box is for zooming doesn't turn up in the output. This one is zoom out before next frame, and I'm going to explain that shortly. You can see here, because it's light gray, it's not enabled. You can't get at it, and you can't get at it because we're on scene 2. You can't get at it because we're on scene 3 or scene 4 or scene 5 or scene 6, but you can on scene 7. What does that mean? Well, every one of those other ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, are all on in the second picture over here. Let me quickly go back. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they're all here. And the following scene is the same picture. Whereas once you get to number 6, the following scene is on this image. So all of them, their subsequent scene, the background is unchanged. Whereas 6, the subsequent scene is the next picture. So let's have a look at it again. So we'll let it build its little pictures in the background. Okay, so the subsequent scene, let's see. Okay, so this is step 6. Now the number's not here, I know, but this is step 6. And you can do this because the next picture changes completely. That's why you can do it. That's why you can switch this on and off. You can only switch it on and off when the next picture, the next background is about to appear. And I'll show you why we've built that in just a moment. Let's just continue our tour around here, and then we'll come back and I'll focus on this because it's really important and kind of cool. Now, on the right-hand side is where you work with audio. You've got a number of options for any given step. So this step here is step 6, and the text appears here. In the audio panel, in the as written section, the text appears. It is not editable here. So if I record the audio, I can completely ignore this text and just say anything I want. But if I use the robot here to record the text, it will record exactly as it's written here. So I push Tina here, and Tina has now recorded that audio for me. And if I play it back, hopefully you'll hear Tina's voice. I'm going to just switch on another computer here to make sure I can too.
Press Financials to move to the Financial Information window.
So that was Tina helping us out with the audio there, and she reads exactly what this says. Now, in some cases, that's not what you want to do. In some cases, there's way too much text in here. It could be the first frame here, which contains a whole lot of stuff that is boilerplate text that you don't want Tina to read. Now, if that's the case, you use the alternate tab. So there are 3 tabs here. We're going to look at each of them today. So we could go to the alternate tab and type different text into here. This button at the top becomes active when the alternate tab is on. When the as written tab is selected, it's different. When alternate is on, it's different. In the alternate mode, you can copy from as written over to here and just edit it. And so you can make it anything you want. All we'll do is just add the word please to the end of it just because we can. So this is where you can change what Tina is going to read or any of the other voices. You don't need to do any of this if you're going to record the audio using just the simple record audio where you click, you talk, and you click again to stop. We're not doing that. We're getting Tina to help us today, in which case we've got to get this text correct, and Tina will then read the text for us. So we'll ask her to do that now.
Example Run-Through Instruction. This document explains how to complete the example procedure, please.
Yeah, so that doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense. What we might do is just get her to read it, just to get her to read it again, and we'll just put thanks on the end of it. Okay, so this is the alternate tab. This is the as written tab. So you just copy across the text from as written, should you wish to, or you just type your own alternative text into here. You get Tina to read it for you. If you don't quite get it right, you delete and get Tina to read it again. You can't edit Tina's work. You could technically because it's just an audio file, but you can't edit Tina's work. You just get her to read it again. And she's very good like that. She'll happily do that for you. So the bin or the trash can to get rid of the audio and the robot to record it again. Now, if you don't see this little box over the top, it means it's not configured properly. So please just reach out to support and we'll show you how to do that. You do need a license to Microsoft's text-to-speech services, which is either free or incredibly inexpensive. And we can help you if you don't have one of those, we can help you get it set up. All right, so Tina reads that text for us and we're ready to go. Now, let's see, grouping dialog UI. I wanted to explain this bit. Oh, yes, this is important. Now, at the bottom here, we've got the audio duration of 8 seconds. So the software will work out how long Tina or you have spoken for. And you can make the scene a different duration. So if you wanted to pause for impact because your words were so profound, you could add another couple of seconds onto here or longer should you wish to do so. So the voice will talk and then it will wait a couple of seconds for your message to be absorbed, and then you can move on to the next one. Now, from time to time, these numbers might not line up, but there should never be less than this, because that doesn't make any sense. And just to make it easy, if you do make a change to the audio and you want to alter this to make it match, you just click on this little triangle and it will copy the audio duration down to the bottom one here. So it'll just make that bottom one 8 seconds. So all of these little buttons do useful things. This is 8 seconds now to match the 8 seconds duration of Tina's fine work for us. Now, next here. We'll come to here in a second. I just want to show you a couple of other things that are related to these buttons and this text at the top here. As written, alternate, and SSML, which we'll come back to. So this one here is please navigate to the catalog tab in the Any application. Good. Let's pretend now. Let's pretend now that we need to actually go back to the original and make a change. So here you've seen that you can change the alternate text, but it doesn't change the original. But maybe at this point, you go to the text and you realize that there actually is a mistake, but you're stuck in this dialog box here. Right. So I want to change this permanently for every output, not just for the audio. That's what this button does. Edit the actual source. Please navigate to the catalog tab in the Any application. Edit the actual source. And so we'll say, please go to the catalog tab in the Any application. Please go to the application, like that. Now, if you do this, what that's going to do is that's going to save the text back into the original. So here, good enough, it says, please go to, absolutely correct, but it's actually changed back in this land as well. So we're currently selected here on the third frame. We have altered something on the second frame. So I want to go and find this element and just check it, right? How do I do that? Obviously, could close the dialog box, click on this frame here, but what you can also do is click this guy at the bottom of the screen here, scene name, BBAFOI 5R. You don't have to remember that. All you gotta do is click on it and the picture will change in the background here. So you're now on the correct screen that you're looking for. So we know it's here. This is number 2. So it's BBA, not that we care because it's just this one here pointing at the catalog tab. It's this one pointing at the catalog tab, and not coincidentally, this is at the bottom of the screen here, the one that you're looking for. So it's BBAFOI. So that little name there is what this grouping is called, and you can see it here, and you can see it on this when you go into the video editing. So what? Is that important? Well, no, not really, but it could be useful. And I'm going to show you why it could be useful now. Let's go ahead, and this is, how creative will we be at this point? Let's not be creative. Let's just run the publish. Before that, we'll get Tina to do all the voiceover for us. So this little menu here gives you access to all sorts of interesting things. We'll open the working folder, which we'll do. So I'll show you what that looks like. There's not a lot in the working folder at the moment, but we will bring that back onto the screen in just a second. We'll also see in here that you can open the output folder, but there isn't anything in the output folder, so there's nothing there. So what we'll do is use this one here, which is text-to-speech for all of the 18 scenes in here. So Tina is helping us out by recording all this audio for us. Now, Tina's done all that audio for us. We can now go ahead and publish the output. What we might do is just glance at this and see that that was a little bit long. So I'm going to flick through these and see if they're all the right sort of length. 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 12, 3, 5. Good, we'll publish that. Now, this the folders that this uses, you saw me get it through the working folder. This is the working folder. And while it is working, it's creating content for us. MP4s of little videos. And so what it's going to do is it's going to make multiple MP4s in the working folder as this thing works away in the background. Let's size this up a little bit better so we can see both at once. And so if you zoom and pan, so you're zooming in, you're moving around, it takes longer. So it takes the engine that sits underneath this has to work a bit harder. So we haven't done much of that in this case here, but those take a bit longer. The simple ones are faster. Basically, it's making a whole lot of pictures, gluing them together and making a video with these transitions in them. So in this working folder, it generates the content for us, and it's making two sorts of things. It's making the little videos with the audio attached to them. So if you were to run any of these MP4s, you would hear the voice and you would see the pictures and you would see a little bit of transition between these things. And it's also making these other little guys here, which are JSON files. JSON files are a bit of magic which marries all the different pieces together, and it has some kind of cool stuff called checksums. So what? This is how the kind of magic works when it comes to saving time when you're generating content next time round, because it will check these things to see if the video has changed, and if it hasn't changed, it won't bother to create it again, saving an inordinate amount of time, which is why the first video pass takes a while and the second video pass is extremely quick. So inside of here, you've got all that magic. You don't have to worry about that, but basically this sits on your computer and we look at it each time we publish to see if we can avoid some of these individual steps. So we're not going to dwell on we're not going to play the video back end to end. I'm just trying to show you how it works underneath the scenes here. Then once this is all done, once all these different MP4s are made and all the little JSON bits are done, it will glue them all together into one video using a piece of technology called FFmpeg. So it will take all the MP4s, it will run a very, very clever script and glue them all together. And that happens obviously completely at the end of all this fine work. Also at the end, it can add other bits and pieces, such as a backing audio track like music that would go underneath your video. Not a huge fan of that for training videos, but I certainly will show you how that works and how to do that yourself if you'd like to do so. So I found a small video a small audio clip yesterday, one of those license-free ones on the internet, which we'll just use an example, which we'll use as an example shortly today. Also, what we'll do is we'll start to have a look after this at the template files and how those work, and we'll alter these pictures so you can see how to edit these text frames. And then what we'll do is we'll look at converting to different languages and how tags work, and we'll also do subtitles and chapters as well. So we've got a few things to go before we complete our session today. So this combining videos is very fast. That whole process took 3.5
Example
minutes.
run-through instruction.
And here's the result.
This document explains how to complete the example procedure. Please go to the Catalog tab in the Any application. In the Status section, select Previous, Overloaded and Lost. Deselect the other options.
I'm going to pause that. So if you've watched our the creation of videos before, you'll know what's going on here, right? So we've made this MP4 file, and it has at the beginning of it this little pre-roll, so it has an animation at the beginning.
Example.
It has the content of
read
each
this
of your
message
frames,
carefully.
and then at the end, it has this little post-roll, which will run right at the end of the video. See if I can get back to that. Okay, let's not worry about that. Let's talk about text frames now. And this is a text frame. This is a text frame. This one here called Finally looks different to the one that's at the beginning here. So this one at the beginning, big purple background, text on it. And the next one that you come along to here at this point, this confirmation one, it's a big white background with text on it. So they're quite different. So all we did as the author was type in text into a box that looks like that, right? Not much difference between the two. There's no coloring in here. There's no choice of backgrounds or positioning of elements. It's text in a box. So why does the title page, big purple background, look different to the confirmation one, big white background? Right. So that's driven by this thing. So this one here on the confirmation is heading 2, whereas this guy here is title. So if this was heading 1 or heading 2 or heading 3, let's make it heading 1, and you go to video, it's going to look different. So we'll generate those pictures again, including the titles. And you'll see now that that original frame, that first one on the list, is going to look quite different. So it's not a big purple background anymore. It's the white background, but with a different sort of purple thing on the left-hand side. I mean, obviously in your organization, these will have your colors and styles on it. And I'll show you now where that comes from and how to set up these text frames using this marriage between that name and the output. So let me show you how to edit those backgrounds. And the example I want to use is the same title one that you've seen before, the big purple background. But one of the things maybe you look at here is you say, well, wouldn't it make a little more sense for the text to line up under here rather than be off to the left? So up to you how you do it, but I'm going to show you how to make that change, as well as showing you the marriage between this information and the choice in the output. So that's where we're heading now. So remember, this is called title, and remember that this text is offset here, is not directly underneath example run-through instruction. Okay, so regretting closing that now, because what I want to do is I want to go back to I want to go back to where the source is. So actually, let me navigate directly in the File Explorer here. I'll do it off screen and then I'll bring it onto your screen to show you. Run through video. All right. So excuse all the nonsense here on my screen. In your documents folder in Runthru, you'll only have a couple of things. I have a little more mess, but you'll only have a couple of things. But you will have templates and you will have video. And it's the Documents Runthru video folder that contains the stuff that we're looking for. So inside of here, you've got all the bits and pieces that drive your video output. Here you've got, for example, the background of heading 1. You've got the background of heading 2. You've got the background of heading 3, and you've got the background of the title frame. Now, these can be called anything you want. You know, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. It doesn't really matter, but you need to know what these names are because those names are referenced inside of this JSON file. So let's have a look at this JSON file. Now, we can help you with this, by the way, but I just want to show you, if you want to do this yourself, this is where you can do it. Now, you can edit this JSON file in just normal Notepad, should you wish to, and it will look something like this. I'm using Notepad++ because you can put into it things like plugins, which will allow you to take JSON and it will allow you to make it look much more attractive, or at least easier to understand. This JSON format is basically a text file with lots of interesting things in inverted commas. It has this, and it has these little square brackets, and it has little curly brackets, but it's in here that we can reference these bits of things and move them around. So the one that we're looking for is the first one on the list. Let me just show you, let me just sort of visualize this for you. So the first one on the list is just this information. It is called, it is for title. Here it is. The heading style is title. So basically, when you choose title inside of Runthru Instruction, when you make a video, it will come to this little file and it will say, well, how big is it? How big is, what's the font? How big is the font? What color is the font? If some of you some of you, the geeky ones of you will know what this means. I mean, this is white, basically. Actually, F's are white, aren't they? Yes. And zeros would be black. Okay, so the heading foreground is white, whereas opposed to this one here, yes, the heading foreground is black in the second one. Right. Red would be FF0000, something like that. Okay, so the heading left, the position of the title is 700 pixels from the left-hand side and 200 from the top. Da, 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 da. And down the bottom here, the supportive text is from the left 500. So that's why there's an offset between the two. The heading is 700 in from the left. The supportive text is 500 in from the left. So we'll fix that. We'll move it across. The text block width is 1330. Well, that might hang off the side because we've just added 200 to the left. We'll take 200 off that. We'll make it 1130. So I've altered this so that it looks different, basically. That's all I've done. And I'll save this away. I don't want to change the target PNG, although I could. I can add more of these things just by copying and pasting them. That's really easy to do as well. But I've made a couple of small changes. Like I said, we can help you with this, but this is how you do it. Notepad++ is free. Give it the plugins, makes it look beautiful, but you could do the same edit inside of normal Notepad. It'd just be a little bit tougher and a little bit harder to see. Now, once that's done, you should see here, it doesn't light up yet, but if we close this and we reopen it, it'll regenerate that. And if I got it correct, I think I have, you should see that text nudges over to the right-hand side and should line up with the content that's sitting above it. Ta-da, just like that. So, and that will work for any video you make in the future that is opened on this computer. So this is not special for this file. This is setting the template for this computer. So that lines up now, and it will do every time you generate in the future. That's how that works. You can make your own versions of these things as well. So if you wanted to have 17 of these with different animals and pictures on it, you can definitely do that. Inside of here, we just have the 4 default ones, but that's how that works. Let's return now to this folder and just have a look at a couple of other things. In this folder here, you have the section frames JSON file, which is where you set up those text frames inside of here. You've got the pictures for the background, but you also have in the Runthru video folder, you also have these 2 video files. Runthru Software Intro MP4, Runthru Software Outro MP4. The naming is anything you want again, but this is a small, generally small, little video that will run, will be glued on at the beginning and at the end of your videos. That's what they do. Now, they're referenced in additions.json. So if we have a look at additions.json and we were to edit that in here, just so we can visualize it, and we were to look at JSON tools again, all it does is say post-roll video is this, pre-roll video is this, and you just put them in the right folder and you change the names in here to something new, and then it will just reference here and off we go. You'll also see in here the backing audio track, and we won't do that right now, but we will come back to that shortly. Now, let's see here. So that's pre-roll, post-roll, title slides, altering. Yep, we've done all that. Good. Okay. So we're going to have a look at voices, and then we've spoken about overriding the text, and we edit the text, original text. Yep, we've done that. I'm looking at my little list here. Yes, zoom out next. Yeah, I really like this one, and so let's come and have a look at this. So remember a little while ago, we were looking right at the beginning of this. I said, it's a little unusual for us to recommend having 2 of the same picture. They're slightly different. This one here has the box checked. This one here, see, checked and not checked. When you check the box, it lights this button up. When it's unchecked, the button is not available. So I thought it might be cool to put this into a video, and that would enable me to show you that zoom out before new frame thing and what that does. That's what we're going to do. So let's return to the video now, and we'll find this in the video, and we'll have a look at that particular option. Right. Here, here, here. Nope, 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 nope. This too. All right. We're going to zoom in. The message here is, please read this message carefully. That's what the voice will read. Next frame. copy from previous brings the red box from the previous frame. So there's no screen movement. Exactly the same. If I was to do this, there'd be screen movement. If I was to zoom in further, there's a lot of screen movement. I just want to do exactly what was on the previous frame. Next, do what's exactly on the previous frame. Now, here's what we've got to be conscious of. This step here is, if you're in agreement, please check this box. Zoom out before next frame, and then it will zoom back in again. We do not want to do that. We want to turn that off, because when we get to the next frame, we just want it to snap to make it look like there's this little transition between the box filling in and the button lighting up. If I allow it to zoom out, you'll lose that little bit of magic. So let's generate the output again. Now, it has to do scene 1 again because we changed scene 1, right? We brought the text in from the left-hand side at the bottom of the screen for that title page. But there's, which also, by the way, because you change 1, the transition to number 2 must change, because we have to change just slightly between 1 and 2, as we might, do the transition, because it doesn't just snap between the two. There might be a slight kind of transition between the two. But what you should find is some of these go really rapidly, like that, bang, 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 because we didn't need to replace those. But we do need to do a bit of work here, because we've changed this one here with this particular step. So we've got the pan and zoom to come in, and the next two screens are much smaller than they were before because we've zoomed in on them. But we chose at the top of the screen, zoom out before next frame. We turned that off so we could do this little transition, which should show the checkbox lighting up and the I accept button becoming active. That's what our expectation is at this point. And so if I've got it right, then we should have a video that has a little bit more kind of magic to it than we had earlier. So let's see how that comes. Now, after we've done this, I think what we'll do is we'll go and have a look at SSML. I'd like to tell you what that's about. And we also want to talk a little bit about subtitles and chapters. So as you've watched the video play here a couple of times, you've seen the captions at the bottom of the screen come up. Now, I'm running it locally from a folder that has a captions file. So it's sort of automatically doing it. I'll pause.
Example run-through instruction. This document explains how to complete the example procedure. Please go to the Catalog tab in the Any application. In the Status section, select Previous, Overloaded and Lost. Deselect the other options. Choose your system from the list. Complete the name fields with the full legal name of the customer. You must select an action before continuing. Press Financials to move to the Financial Information window. In the Financial Information window, check that the stock status shows a green indicator as shown here. If not, please do not complete this activity. Press the Security button to open the Security Settings window. Confirmation. This is an important new confirmation step as at April 2025. Please follow the instructions. Please read this message carefully. If you are in agreement, please check this box. This button will now be enabled.
Okay, so what happened then?
This button will now be enabled.
Is that it didn't zoom out. So what usually happens is it zooms out between the steps, right? That's what usually happens. It zooms out to the screen between the steps. And in fact, as I play on, you'll see that it will zoom out for the next screen.
Please press it to continue the procedure. Secure.
So that zooming that you just saw there, that's the default behavior. It zooms back up to 100%. And so what we don't want to do is in that particular case, we wanted to show the little button getting clicked and switched on and the other, the I accept button lighting up and being ready. So that's why at the top of this, before it changes the screen, so you don't want to zoom out before the next frame. You don't want to do that. You just want to have that switched off because in transition between these different backgrounds, these different pictures, you want it to stay exactly where it was. That's what that does. So please give that a go. It's a bit of fun and it makes the output look really quite cool. Now, let's see, where shall we go to next? We've got subtitles and chapters. We've got the backing audio. We've got some general tips. Zoom out next, editing text. Yep, you've done that. Good. Let's have a look at SSML. Let's have a look at that. So what on earth is SSML? It's another way of getting the Microsoft AI voice to help you create really quite incredible videos. Now, on your computer using Runthru Instruction, these will work. If this is not switched on, just ask us. Just send an email, go to the website, open a support ticket, and we'll get this for you. And the reason it's not turned off is it's a bit tricky. And so it's not something you want to mess around with because if you spend 5 minutes on it, it's just going to be confusing. But if you understand how it works, it's very, very cool. So we need to, the button will now press it to continue the procedure. Let's find something good here. This is please read this message carefully, which is the text box that just sits on top of this text here. Oops, shouldn't have done that. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce a little bit of personality to this, a little bit randomly, I think, but we're going to introduce some personality to it. We'll come back to YouTube in a minute because that's where we're going to put our video in the end. So what do I want? I want this link, which I'm copying over now. Right. Now, you can get free subscriptions to this thing from Microsoft. Let's make sure I get this right. And we do have a free subscription. Obviously we've got paid subscriptions as well, but I don't have one of those loaded. So I'm using a free one, which is exactly what you could get for free, which I think is kind of cool. This is somewhat advanced, but also very, very cool. This is a speech studio. And in the speech studio, you can make little audio clips, but you can also make SSML. I should show you what that means. SSML means speech synthesis markup language. It's XML, and you'll see what that looks like in a minute. So it's kind of geeky. Let's come back to here, and I'll show you how to do it. Now, this morning I went looking for a helper for this, and the helper I found, who I thought was kind of interesting, her name was Sarah. And so Sarah here has a number of characteristics, seemingly one of which is sincere. But Sarah here can be angry, excited, cheerful, hopeful. She can shout, she can be sad. Let's see what she's like if she's cheerful.
I'm so happy to see you.
Yep, she is.
The
Terrified,
tank is leaking heavily.
unfriendly.
I think you should have known that you don't belong here.
That's lovely. So Sarah is going to assist us with our next work activity. So we'll choose Sarah. Now, Sarah can have some text associated, obviously, because Sarah's got to have something to read. So I thought it would be good if we used some of the text we want here. So we've got, please read this message carefully. So let's get Sarah to help us with that. So we'll put in some text. Please read this message carefully. And why don't we exacerbate this and say, failure to do so could result in bad things happening. I just made that up. All right, so Sarah is going to read, not in her default voice. Sarah is going to be terrified. How terrified is Sarah going to be? She can be quite terrified, for example. I think that's what this does. And so this, oh, let's listen.
Please read this message carefully. Failure to do so could result in bad things happening.
I think that's quite convincing, don't you? So let's look at it in SSML. So this is the stuff that comes out the other end, SSML. That's what it looks like. And so what we should be able to do is pinch the appropriate text out of here and just pop it in the other end. So we've got voice, we've got speak, and it's really just this bit. That's all we need. We just need between these two speak tags. And so you can see my real text inside of here. Please read this message carefully. And you can see also inside of here that Sarah is going to read it. You know, that's what she's going to do. And she's going to express it in a terrified manner. So you don't actually need to come into here to do this. If you could remember all this text that you're typing, you could just take that text, put it in here, paste it into this box, and delete what's there and use whatever text is in this box to create the audio and then play it back.
Please read this message carefully. Failure to do so could result in bad things happening.
So I'm not advocating that we use Sarah for this purpose, but I just wanted to show you that you can do SSML inside of the application. So what we don't have is a way of saying, please give me a happy, charming person, and it will just magically happen for you. But this fully supports SSML. So what you can do is you could have a conversation between three people going on inside the text in this box, one of them being terrified and one of them reacting with surprise just by using text that looks something like this. And that service that I just showed you, that editor, will enable you to achieve that. It is a lot of fun, but I do warn you, you can waste an enormous amount of time messing around with these different voices. In the normal world of choosing voices, it's tough enough. But once you get into SSML and you work out that you can take individual words and add emphasis to them or all sorts of things, I mean, it really is quite mind-blowing what you can do. And the change doesn't result in a huge amount of extra work for the application to create the video that comes out the other end. Now, I should have taken note where this came in. It must be after this.
Please follow the instructions.
Please read this message carefully. Failure to do so could result in bad things happening.
Yeah, well, I'm convinced. Are you?
If you are in agreement, please check this box.
And then we're back to the calmness of the Australian accent.
This button will now be enabled.
But, you know, that's the
Please
sort of
press it
things
to
you can
continue
do.
the
I mean, here we've
procedure.
got a little bit of animation. We've got that transition between the slides. But we've also got the ability to add that extra layer of the audio as well, with some animation to it using SSML. Yes, it's not for the faint-hearted, but wow, you can do some really wild stuff really easily without employing a voiceover artist. Now, what you saw there, I'm sure, in the video output, in fact, let's navigate to the output folder, is the video with the captions sitting underneath it. So if I was to run that again, you would see that it comes up with
Runthru Instruction.
these captions at the bottom.
This document
which don't
explains
make a
how
lot
to
of sense for
complete
this
the example
particular slide.
procedure.
I know I'm talking over the top of it, but
Please go to the Catalog tab in the Any application.
You see the caption at the bottom of the screen. So that's because these files exist. These files are created, and these are text files, that's all they are. These files are created when you do the publishing. So you publish, it makes these text files. These two serve exactly the same purpose, SRTs and VTTs. You'll only need one of them, but we make both anyway, just in case. The chapters file is also very interesting. So this gives you the opportunity to generate these little chapters, and this is just a text file with some words in it and numbers in it, but this is going to be handy as well, because that gives you the opportunity to provide this little bit of help with navigation for the user. All right, let's go to YouTube now and use both of those things. So we'll add our own video to this. So I'm logged on with a personal account that I created years ago. There's not much content in here. I just used it for testing. But I'm going to drag the video onto this screen. So let's see. If we position this over here and we position this over here, we should be able to just drag this across. So here's our video. I think this is the most recent one. Let's just have a look. Size this out a bit. Let's pop it up. Date modified. Let's make sure we get the right one. No, we didn't have the right one. Pop it back on the left-hand side again. Right. So if we drag and drop this video across, up it will go to YouTube. There it goes. Now, so then what we're going to do is we're not going to let YouTube work out the chapters for us. If you Google how to add chapters to YouTube using a text file, it will explain this. But all we need to do is we need to just grab the file. There it is here, the text document. This is the chapters that we need. So we will edit this with anything. Doesn't really matter. You just need to be able to copy these. If I copy these out and I come back to YouTube and I paste these in here, that will make chapters for you. It's really that simple. So when you actually publish this, that will be the chapter markers for you. I believe you can put other stuff in here, but that's basically how it works. Now the other one you want is the subtitles. You want the captions at the bottom of the screen. Now you can let YouTube work this out for you. You can do that, but it will get it wrong because I mean it's brilliant, but it's going to make mistakes because it'll miss, because what it's doing is listening to the voice and trying to interpret the voice. What you can do is upload a file and with timing in it. And if I upload my file with timing in it, let's see, where is it? Upload the file with timing in it. Search all files. eTemp, why isn't that showing me? Here we go. And it's going to be one of these. I don't believe it matters which one it is. And so we'll upload it. And so Runthru Instruction made this content. So from this time to this timestamp, do these things. Now that also means that you can come in and edit it, should you wish to. But we'll just upload as it is. So this is the content as written, and this is what's going to form that text that appears at the bottom of the screen. And so it's rather easy to do. Oh, excuse the language. It said French for some reason. I was playing with it earlier. But that's how you do it. And I've uploaded the video and I've added that content to it. And when you're ready to play that back, you should see inside of here if it's turned on.
Example Runthru Instruction.
They are turned on. But
this
you should also
document
see
explains how to complete the example procedure.
Well. So you can jump to the security section should you wish to do so.
In this next section.
So those things are generated automatically because inside of settings, inside here, there's this thing called make subtitles, which is also chapters. It should say make subtitles and chapters, but it does both. If you turn it off, it just won't bother making those. So what? Well, the only difference is it just won't appear in the output folder. So in the output folder, it would only have the MP4s. It wouldn't have those other 3 text files that we need for other things. Okay, so that's how that works. Basically, it will automatically make those good things for you, just like that. Now, I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes and make a French version of the entire file, and basically just to show you how easy it is to do. Now, this involves a number of things. It involves translation. It involves tagging. So there's a couple of things here we need to use. Now, this session is not really about tagging and translation. I just want to show you how easy it was to do. So I'm going to quickly go through this. I'm going to tag every one of the elements, take all the elements, change the current ones, add a tag. So all the current ones are going to be tagged with this red tag called English. That's all that did. It just put this marker on each of these. I could have done that by coming to here and choosing English for every one of them. I have 9 of them. They're all in English. I'm going to use multi-frame actions again. That's where I just was. And again, rather than doing these things one at a time, I'm going to take all the selected frames. I'm going to duplicate them. So we're going to get 18 frames. we're going to change the language of all of these frames, again using an AI from Microsoft, and we're going to change it to French. Doesn't have to be French, it's just anything you want. Just French, there we go. And we will add a tag. The tag we need to add is French, right? But we're going to get rid of the English one. So we'll add the French in here. So duplicate them, change all the text to French, remove, please, the English tag, and just go. This is just to save you doing it one at a time. Multi-frame actions is like a macro. All the frames, make new ones, change them to French, put on a blue tag, get rid of the red tag. That's it. And you'll see on the left-hand side here, this number will start to build up. So there are 10 frames at the moment, and there are 11, and it does it from the bottom up for a really simple reason, because it's easier to change lists from the bottom up. It's also just builds a suspense, because what you'll see in a moment is these ones changing. You'll see new ones added as you see them. Here we go, we've got a new French one, and you'll see a new French one appear here in a minute after number 6, and then you'll see a new one at the top, and then it'll be finished. And so all of these will be in French. They can be in any language that you want, of course. These ones just happen to be in French. Job's done. So now we've got this and this all in French, so on and so forth. So when it goes to, now that you've done all your fine work in English and you've made your English video, we're going to make a French video. So when we publish, we're going to publish only to the French ones. Select only the French ones. So when we make a video and we come in here, we only get 9 frames, not 18. And we only get the 18 scenes, not the 36 scenes. So we converted everything. And here it is, same purple background. But what we need here is not Tina. We need someone to be speaking for us in French. So we'll choose French, and we'll get, well, Brigitte to help us, or Celeste to help us perhaps here. Claude, let's choose Celeste. I don't know what this sounds like, so we'll apply that. And now what we'll do is we'll go through all content, and it's going to be only the ones that are French, right? Only the things chosen as French are going to convert to French. That's basically what's going to happen. Hopefully I've got that right. Here it goes. So it's a long way to France, so it's taking a little longer than the English. No, I don't know that's the case. I'm not sure why it's taking longer. I'm very used to this plowing through so rapidly. And then once we get to this point, we'll just check the timings again, because maybe the timings aren't perfect. But as soon as I push the publish button, we're going to have a French video, and we'll be able to deploy that anywhere that we want as well. So it's only 4 seconds at the beginning, 4 seconds, 8 seconds. That looks pretty good. And so all these are looking the business. That all looks great. This is an interesting one here. What we should get here is not the SSML.
Please read this message carefully.
But we do, you see, because that was set up for SSML, and because it wasn't as written, we're not going to get the content that Celeste reads. So we could add a French name in there, but we'll just leave it for the moment at that. And we'll just flick through to the end and see that everything looks good. All right, I will run that. I mean, it's we're 2 minutes to the hour, which is 2 minutes to finish time. I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. I think we've got everything in the list here. Just as this is building, I just wanted to talk about the language that we use, the actual words that we use on a given step. When we use Runthru Instruction for creating content for Confluence or SharePoint or Word documents, we can be often quite succinct, right? Click this, press this button. When you're making a video, you need to add a bit more personality to it. So the text is going to be a little bit longer. You'll have seen in some places in the video, instead of saying just press this button, what I've typed in there is press the button to move to the next window. Choose this option to use this section to choose the appropriate option for what you have to do next. I haven't just said complete the name fields. I might say something like complete the name fields using the person's proper name. Please be careful with this step, as though it's really important. So you add this extra language to it, which makes the video feel a lot more friendly. Now, there's an interesting paradox here. It makes the video a tiny bit longer, but it makes the video much more approachable. It makes it more friendly. It makes it more acceptable. And what we need to achieve with video is to add that human touch to it that you're not going to get if you just go bang, 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 check this box, click this button, choose this thing. You got to add that extra sentence to it, which, by the way, won't negatively impact your Word document or PowerPoint or ServiceNow document. It won't negatively impact that. But what it will do is it will lift the video up. It'll just make that video more appealing, as will panning and zooming, which take longer to build, particularly the first time you do it. But it just adds that sort of extra professionalism to the work. I have forgotten one thing. Oh my goodness. And that is putting the audio track in the background. And I'm right on finishing time. So we will let this finish. I'll show you how to do it. It will only take a moment to add it back in. So this will be part of the video that you guys can watch back later. So if you need to go now, just pick up the last few minutes of the video recording that we'll put on the website so you can see it. But we will let this run now and I'll show you how to do it. Now, can I get away with that, with changing that right now? I might be able to. I don't think it's going to be doing anything useful. This was the file that we need to get to. It is in video additions. It is, yeah, okay. Oh, well, we'll change it now. And that way we'll just have to regenerate it. So we'll go back here and we'll have a look at what we need to do. I found this little audio clip on the internet. You know, it's one of those little free things. And it's called Flow 21881.mp3. What we're going to do is we're going to put it in here. That's all we're going to do. So in inverted commas, I'm going to put that and save it away. So this is where you do post-roll, this is where you do the pre-roll, and this is where you do the backing audio. And by adding it into there, next time we generate this output, it will go looking for that file, pick it up, and it will add it as audio at the end of the video. Now, if I'm right, we don't have to wait terribly long. We don't have to go through these 18 scenes again. It should not see any change with any 18 scenes. It should just take us to the end and add the audio to it. But I guess we'll see momentarily. It's something I should have done earlier. I had it switched on earlier in the day before we got together this morning, and I'm showing you how to do these things. But I did just basically want to, I didn't want that there because quite frankly, I found it a little distracting to have the audio in the background. So we'll let this finish. And then what we'll do is we'll just stop this at this point. So there's obviously no audio in the background. And what we'll do is we'll close out of this window. We'll come back in again and we'll play and we'll do it once more. But this time that template has that information in it. And I believe we should just be able to push the publish button again. It should pick it up. And we'll know momentarily whether that is the case. So as I said, all you've got to do is change that one little JSON file, put in that information, and let's see how we go here. We're combining the videos, and let's see if it picks it up and adds the backing audio. That's precisely what's happened now. So for those of you who've stayed to the end, thank you very much. What you'll do is you'll hear some audio in the background behind the French speaker, and we'll just pause and you'll be able to hear it.
Ce document explique comment effectuer l'exemple de procédure. Veuillez vous rendre dans l'onglet Catalogue de n'importe quelle application. Dans la section État, sélectionnez Précédent, Surchargé et Perdu. Désélectionnez les autres options. Choisissez votre système dans la liste. Remplissez les champs du nom avec le nom légal.
And that, one and all, is it. The finish. Well, thank you very much for coming along today. Thank you if you're watching the video sometime in the future. I do hope it's been of value to you. And if there's anything we can do for you, please reach out at runthru.com or contact me directly at nigel.wilson@runthru.com. Thank you so much. Bye for now.